So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make your own soil. I was getting really excited about it being almost springtime and being able to start my seeds indoors. So I thought the very first step was to make some soil so I can get ready to start my seeds. I'm just going to walk you through the process on how I make my soil. You can feel free to swap it and make it however you would like. This is just how I make it. So what I'm going for when I make soil is I'm going for something that is not going to retain water, that has plenty of drainage, and really allows my roots to thrive in here and also has some nutrients. If you're interested in learning how to make your own soil, let's go ahead and dive in. I always feel like I'm in a jungle when I'm sitting here. So when you get your Coco Coir, it is going to come in a big old brick like this. Go ahead, we'll pull one brick out and just seal that back up. Okay, obviously, as is, this is not going to make good soil. We have to go ahead and hydrate it. So you're just going to take some warm water, put your Coco Coir in a bucket, any bucket. I am sure you guys have seen me use this one. It's one of my favorite ones to use, and we are just going to go ahead and cover this with warm water. So you're going to let it soak in the warm water for typically about 15 minutes, and then we'll come back once I get this all poured in here. Kind of feel like I added too much water in here, but it's fine. What I'm gonna do is just kind of break this down so it's not overflowing. Kind of make sure that the center is wet, all of that good fun stuff. Okay, so there's our Coco Coir. In addition to this, I use worm castings. Definitely doesn't have to be this brand, doesn't have to be the brand Coco Coir. Use whatever brand you have, whatever brand's local. Get on Amazon, doesn't really matter. We are also going to be using Perlite. So Perlite are these white little bead foam looking things. They're actually not foam, but that's what Perlite is. I guess I could have just put the worm castings in like a little container for you to see here. Again, I'm not repping any brands or anything like that. This is just what I found at Walmart today. It was on clearance for $4. I will say the only indoor potting soil that I adamantly will not use unless if I was absolutely in a pinch is Miracle-Gro. So anything other than that, I'm typically fine with using. Like I said, I got this big one, $4 at Walmart. So I was like, all right, I'll grab that. And then we're also gonna need some Orchid Bark. So this is what you're gonna need to create your own soil. I know it feels like a lot, but it's really just putting the time in. What's the most important thing for a plant? And one of them is going to be the soil that they're in, right? In addition to water and light, they need really good soil. I like to use this mix because I don't want to get gnats. They're so hard to get rid of, and I don't want my plants to get root rot, which happens from the soil being too damp, right? So things like the Orchid Bark and the Perlite and the Coco Coir that's going to help create like a lighter aerated soil, so it's not just a packed down pile of mess. Now, the worm castings adds a little bit of nutrients. This is just soil, but with this, it allows you to fully water your plant, but it's not going to stay wet forever and ever and ever and like really hold on to all of that water. We're giving it all of the parts that it needs to be a well-drained plant. Now, let me get this big bag of soil up here. Yes, this is, for the record, a cat litter box. It is, I mean, it's dirty with dirt, not with cat stuff. I just find this is kind of the biggest bucket that I have to mix in because this is wet. I like to have it kind of laid out so it can dry out before I pack it away into a sealed container. Just easier for me to mix around in there. We're gonna take our Coco Coir and you're gonna break it up with your hands. So any of these clumps like this, just kind of break it right into your container. Now, I don't really measure how much I put in here. I guess maybe 2 parts Coco Coir, 2 parts soil, 1 part Perlite, 1 part Orchid Bark, and like half a part worm castings. I guess you'll kind of see how much of each I use. Okay, so I think that's enough for now. Now this is kind of cool. It looks like the soil comes already with some Perlite in there. So same thing as I did with the Coco Coir. I'm gonna break this up as I go, just so I don't have any big clumps of soil. Okay, so I should have put my hair up, it's bothering me. We will, okay, so this is actually, this soil isn't terrible. So the soil that I bought already came with some Orchid Bark in it, and it's got the Perlite, and it kind of feels like it has the Coco Coir. I honestly think that soil alone, maybe a little bit light on some of the stuff, but wasn't a terrible soil pick at all. Okay, so I think that's enough soil. Pop a Perlite in. And that kind of poofs up at you, so be a little careful when you're mixing it. In soils, just kind of something that, like, when I'm gauging how much I'm putting in there, I kind of go by like the look and the feel of it to see if I need a little bit more or if I think I'm all set. Now we'll pop a bit of worm castings in. And I always wait until my hands are dirty before I try to open anything here. And then the Orchid Bark. Now, I'm gonna be honest, it feels like the Orchid Bark is a little bit expensive. As you can see, I didn't put like a whole bunch in here, but I think it's worth it just to give you that chunky soil, to really give you some good drainage. Along with good drainage, it's also going to allow your roots to grow better. So the reason why I make my own soil, right? I don't want my soil to become a pile of mud, which sometimes happens when you just use straight soil. Like I said, the soil that I got, I'm actually kind of impressed. It's a little bit of a better quality than I was anticipating, but oftentimes it's just like a big pile of mud. The problem with that is it's not gonna have drainage. It's gonna turn it into a big clump of mud, and you're gonna get root rot, you're gonna get gnats, you're probably going to have it really wet for a really long time, which is what causes the root rot. Now, the reason why we want to add stuff to it, so the Orchid Bark, that's going to keep the soil aerated. So that's going to give space for your soil to stay light and fluffy like this. It's going to allow for good drainage, so the water goes through it, the plant isn't holding on to it. Same thing with the Perlite. This does the same thing. It's just big chunks in kind of small chunks, kind of a dual factor there. Now, the Coco Coir, that retains a little bit of moisture, but nothing too crazy, but it also helps prevent all of this from becoming too compact. So what we always want is we want a good draining soil. That's why I choose to make my own. I pop the worm castings in there, just a little bit of added nutrients for the plants. You can certainly leave that out. Feel free to customize the soil however you would like. Now, I will use this soil for anything, I mean, aside from like cactuses, those I guess I wouldn't use it for. Anything kind of in that family that has to be very dry. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy making soil with me. If you haven't done so already, be sure you hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, if you have an idea of a video that you would like me to make, just let me know. I am by no means an expert. I just really enjoy it, planting brings me so much joy on the inside. So if there's anything you have a question about or anything you kind of want me to show, if it's a plant that I have, I will gladly do that. Also, just so you know, I am getting ready to start everything for my cut flower garden, which last year was the first year that I did that, and I really want to make sure that I do a whole bunch of videos on here. So if there's anything specific that you would like me to grow, if I'm able to, I will try. Just go ahead and comment down below.